We are live.
We're live.
It's happening.
Aussie's taking over the NBA.
Welcome to a conference semi-finals midpoint recording.
Yeah, just a little check-in about the playoffs and that.
Indeed. First of all, remember to like, share, and subscribe. Like us on Facebook. Share with your friends. You can download on iTunes, all those good podcasting app stores. I have to give a quick fuck you to Facebook for blocking me from streaming live. Fuck you, Facebook.
Don't get taken down for the platform, man.
Oh, well.
But you can always just like, share, and subscribe on Facebook, on YouTube as well.
Yeah, we're on YouTube, so we
can't get on Facebook. We'll just go onto YouTube and do that then, I guess.
YouTube.
And share that. And iTunes, if you give us a rating and review, 5-star. Thanks for listening, everyone. Shout out to everyone out there. Stream looks good. Everyone's here. Playoffs, man. Are you like...
Is anything surprising thus far? That's what I've deemed that. Are we surprised by... anything in the playoffs as we speak?
Are we surprised by how Philly have, taken a 2-1 lead?
I think that's as a general, Denver to Portland close series, Philly up 2-1, Houston getting back one in today, Houston. Are we surprised with really how anything's? The Bucks probably a little bit more surprising.
Yeah, I think Boston stole that game on the road, and then they've stolen one back as well. So we'll talk about that as well. We should go on about the Spurs. Obviously, we didn't give any love to the Spurs that were still playing on our last playoff recap.
Unfortunately, they did not progress through.
What was going on at the end of that game?
I actually don't know. I don't think they know.
We put it on and we're standing there going, what are you doing? Foul him. What's going on? Foul. Like, no one's going to... No, that's the end of the game? That just decided the series? Like, what the hell was that? Yeah. DeRozan went completely cold, and that's kind of a DeRozan-y thing. LaMarcus was cold, and then the last 30 seconds, why didn't they foul? The season was on the line. They didn't foul. It was just weird. And, you could see Greg Popovich. I watched it back again, and he's standing there like, foul. And then it looks like with about 15 seconds to go, he just goes, give up. Whatever, I'm too old for this. I'm out. That was just crazy. What a crazy way to go out.
It's bizarre indeed.
Especially a winnable series, I think, for the Spurs.
Yeah, I would have thought that they would have taken more away from that, but apparently, they didn't get there in the end. Maybe I really don't know. They just couldn't get there.
No,
DeRozan went cold.
But that's kind of DeRozan, man. That's a very DeRozan-y thing to just really struggle in. The game itself was really bad. Like it was, I think it was a 39-45 first half. And then Denver kind of, like through that whole series, they were very just predicated on, is Jamal Murray playing well? They look like they might win. Jokic had that monster game in the loss. And then... they never looked like they had the playoff experience. We're just going to win. Like a playoff hardened team would have just come in and just been like, that's it. This series is over, done. And Denver would have just, gone out of that series and just, we'll come back next year. But the Spurs never seemed like they had enough juice, and they were old and slow. Yet Denver had enough rope to just be like, well, we're young and fast and inexperienced. We'll just try anything we can. And that kind of came off in the end. It was a bit weird.
It did, but Derek White went hard for the first game, then wasn't seen.
Disappeared. Where did he go?
Hello. Yeah,
see ya. Where did he go, man?
Pop obviously signing for another 3 years.
Is that confirmed?
It is confirmed, yes.
Oh, sweet. Nice one.
He is done. So I really don't know what you do with that team, to be honest, to take them. they're always going to be a postseason team, I think, or a threat of postseason, but... how do they ever get out of the first round? Is it just like, we're that team that just kind of goes and we're happy with being there, rather than we've won a few in the past.
The system is so good that you can never write them off.
LaMarcus is getting old. Patty's getting old.
That's where, you know what they should do? Free agency? Get Kawhi. But you know what I mean? Like they need someone in this free agency period that's coming up. But who really is it?
I don't think anyone's interested. I think the money's in New York. I think people are more savvy. They want contracts outside of the NBA to obviously boost their notoriety and coffers. And really, you can only do that in two places, New York or LA.
So
I think the Knicks, Brooklyn, and the Clippers. I don't think anyone's going to go to LeBron, to be honest with you.
I don't know what's
Lakers
going to happen.
Turd.
Yeah, with Magic gone now, I just don't know. Like, it kind of feels like they're going to be a real franchise now. But then with LeBron, it's a circus still.
It's circus, and Ty Lue's the coach, and
that's okay.
We're just going to bring in this yes man. Yes, LeBron. I'll do whatever you say.
With that. But we'll do a Spurs wrap up. Obviously, they're out. We'll do some talk about some Spurs, and get that out in the next couple of weeks. We've still got to do the Jazz one, and then we've got to do one more. Do we? No.
Yeah. No, that's it.
Only just overs and unders and
overs and unders, and we'll get out obviously as the following last three teams.
So there's still four Aussies. We've got Simmons and
Bolden,
Bainsey,
and Bogut. But he was never going to be useful in the Houston series.
True.
He will be useful against Denver.
That's true.
Or he would be useful against Cantor at Portland.
That's true.
So again, he was never going to be useful in the Houston series. We knew that. We said that from the beginning.
Knew that from the start. But it's still hard to watch, man. Like it's all right to watch in the NBL where the level is very, very low.
Yeah.
And you're like, he looks really good here, but then in the NBA, it's
he's probably not going to be. Yeah, he's not going to be useful against Philly. He's not going to be useful against the Bucks. He'll be useful against Boston if it's a Boston. So it's
against
really
Horford, but I don't know.
Horford and Baines, bit of Aussie on Aussie crime.
But we'll go. Should we go through the Philly Toronto series first?
Let's go through that first.
We'll warm up, and then I'll
warm
nice
up, and then we'll get nice and salty on the Dub series, and then we'll go through the other two. Philly have been very surprising this series. Firstly, because they lost the first game, which was no surprise there. They lost to Brooklyn. I think they were kind of figuring things out. Kawhi went for a Mozza. Siakam played really well, but that was kind of it. There was really no one else in that team that scored. Ibaka was pretty much useless. Gasol was okay. I think Gasol kind of really limited Embiid with his bad knee. But
really, the Embiid health is a big thing.
It is. And, the second game he had the shits.
Yeah.
Literally had a gastroenteritis.
Oh, he did too.
He had gastro.
He had gastro, yeah. And he was coughing. I remember they did like a slow-mo of him coughing, and they're like, oh, that's 3 coughs there from Embiid. It was like, oh, gross, man.
So he was sick.
Affect everyone on the court.
And so first game one, I think was a bit of a feeler. They had no idea what they were getting into. They haven't beaten full-strength Toronto in 14 games.
Oh, wow.
So that last game they won.
Back a year and a bit,
goes back way, but no, it goes back 3 or 4 years. I think 2012 was the last win they had in Toronto. So it goes back to when the process kind of, when they blew everything up and just started accumulating picks. And you could see that really the Raptors have 2 players, Siakam and Kawhi Leonard. I think Ben Simmons has done a fantastic job of guarding Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, for sure.
Defense has been phenomenal,
and it's that's a scheme where you don't necessarily go, who's going to lock up Kawhi, Ben Simmons, but you go, Ben, just give us 48 of your hardest minutes against Kawhi, and let's see how that goes. And it's gone fantastic, for them. Like, he's been great. Like, I wasn't looking at that just going, you know what, he's going to lock him up. I was looking at that and going, I want to see this. I want to see how he goes. And in the first game, the second game, man, it was like, okay, I know how to do some of these things now.
Yeah.
Uses his body really, really well. His hands are quick, and it's been really good to watch, man. He's been fantastic.
It's been good because Gasol has been pretty turd, to be honest with you. Didn't score well in the first game, defended well, but really isn't shooting the ball that well.
Kind of looks a bit lost.
It looks a bit lost. And it's allowed Simmons to funnel, especially in the last game, Leonard into Embiid in the low block, and it's changed shots. Embiid blocked him once or twice last game, but it's more of an effective route. Really, he has to create any shot off an ISO dribble or a step back, or he's got no. I mean, he's fantastic. Don't get me wrong, he's freak. But even Ben's pitched his pocket a couple of times. Like, it's not the first game where he played Kawhi and just got absolutely beasted. He's stepped up. I think defensively this year more than anyone.
He keeps trying. It doesn't matter if he doesn't, like, if he gets a foul or if he gets rinsed. Doesn't matter. He still just goes, right, give me the next possession or the next possession, and that's the perfect guy to put on that player. Like, to put on their best player, you want Simmons if he can. He has the size to match up. Because what's Kawhi 6'9"? I think he's almost the same.
No, Kawhi's 6'6", 6'7".
Oh, okay, and Ben's 6'9".
Ben's 6'10",
6'9", 6'10". But Ben's obviously got the proportions and the length.
Yeah.
Kawhi's looks so staunch, man. He looks like he's put on weight, eh? Like,
looks like he's put on a bit of muscles, but his hands are just fucking... They're like Giannis-sized hands.
Yeah, they're monstrous. And he seems to... Like, he's got such a thick base that it doesn't matter where he is shooting a jumper, he can just kind of raise up. It's flat. It's got arc. It doesn't matter. Like, he just pulls up. It's kind of like Klay Thompson, where... You just watch him and he just pulls up and takes this shot and you're just like, what the fuck is that shot? And he makes the shot. And I don't think that's sustainable. Like, what he's doing doesn't involve everyone. It's just, Kawhi, get us a bucket. Okay, I'll do this, get us a bucket. It's a little bit like Harden where it doesn't involve anybody. And then, you know, what Siakam's doing or what he has been doing in this series as well, it's like, oh, I'm doing this over here. And when I get a chance to do my thing, I'm doing it over here. It's not like... What we do is we move guys here, we move them there, and when you're there, you know you got to make that cut and you get a bucket. Like, it doesn't feel like that because Philly's really eating up the space, man, on the court, and especially with Embiid, funneling guys to Embiid, as he blocked a lot of shots.
He has 5 blocks, 3 blocks first game, 5 blocks last game. I think he only had 1 or 2 blocks when he was sick. He only scored 12 points that game, 6 rebounds. But again, his ability to
get blocks all up,
his ability to get back on defense for a big guy who can run the floor, miss a shot.
Pump fakes, man.
Yeah.
How many people just fall for that? Like, stay on the floor, dude.
Just let him shoot.
And it's such a really gaudy pump fake too. Like, he goes off and he like does a little bit of that and then goes, and it gets people almost every time.
What I have liked about Philly more than anything is that Redick has completely been swapped out in defense. Like, he does not get exploited because Butler and Simmons are so quick laterally that even if they switch onto Redick, there's always a guy coming across. And I think they've hidden him so well in this series. I mean, because you've really got what? You've got Kyle Lowry, who's, 32, 33? I mean, he's been absolutely terrible.
Yeah, he's been pretty bad. But he's not a shooter. Like,
yeah, but you can't just have one scorer in the team, which is what it feels like at the moment.
It's true.
They've got one scorer.
If you have Kawhi, your other guys have to be shooters. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't have the ball in Lowry's hands, creating for other guys, and you have the ball in Kawhi's hands, the other guys need to be able to shoot. Like, you can't have Lowry there being like, well, I can't shoot. I'll make a play off a dish to me. And that's kind of what's happening. Like, he's trying to get to the rim and he's getting, like, he's got a couple of fouls that were fouls and he's not getting any calls, which is understandable. He's got a bit of frustration from that. But if Kyle Lowry was primarily a shooter, it would make a lot more sense, that offense.
Yeah. But I think they just panicked and goes, we'll get rid of DeRozan and we'll get Kawhi and we'll try and keep him here.
Yeah, well, it's just
he's not staying.
It's an on-the-fly rebuild. Like, it's not a...
Yeah, but I mean, they've been there for 3 years now in the top echelon and they've just done nothing in the postseason. Well, and the only reason they've kind of done anything this year is because of Kawhi Leonard.
Is that what Lowry is? And really, was that what DeRozan was, really?
Well, I think DeRozan goes to the Spurs. The Spurs have better players.
And a better system.
And they can't get out of the first round.
And DeRozan really didn't have a good last game. Like, he wasn't good. And it was very DeRozan, like playoff DeRozan. And this kind of feels a little bit like playoff Lowry as well, where you're like, you can't shoot. Like, and if you can't shoot in an effective area on the court when you got Kawhi handling the ball, like, well, then what's the point of you? Why are you in this offense then? That doesn't make sense. But I don't know. He's not a guy as well that shoots his way out of a slump.
No.
You know what? I'm just going to keep shooting. He's a guy that's like, I'll do other things. And he's assisted the ball really well. He's facilitated this. Yeah, not in this series, but in general in this season.
But again, it's one of those things you always thought with Philly, were they just meant to be a postseason team? 50 wins, get to the postseason, and then you shorten your rotation and you're not getting the deep bench rotation. And James Ennis has been outstanding this series.
Real hustle too, like legit length. Hustle.
I mean, it's kind of what Houston needed against a guy like E or something like that. I don't know why they got rid of him.
Yeah, they have House. I think I said that on the last one.
But you look at Ennis. Ennis can shoot the 3 ball. He's got length. He can put the ball on the floor, get to the rim, defends like a really good lockdown defender. And he's on $1.6 million a year.
He looks more engaged in this team too, but that's another aspect of...
I think that's an aspect of Brett Brown though.
And from the back end, would you want to play with James Harden? Like, I'm looking at that.
Would you want to be coached by Mike D'Antonio?
Not D'Antoni.
What was it?
D'Antoni.
D'Antoni.
Would you, like, if you were a guy who could do more things, would you want to be in that Houston system? Like, just stand there and shoot threes when Harden, like, clear the floor, stand in the corner when he fucking tosses you the ball. It's like Westbrook, like the same thing.
Yeah.
But engaging, like, even Mike Scott, man, is playing great in this Philly team. And you look at
Monroe's at the Clippers.
Been doing, like, giving good minutes. Who's the other guy that I saw? Cork Mars is getting some minutes. Yeah,
that was only because Mike Scott was off the floor.
Yeah, he had a foot. Do you have a foot thing going on?
Heel strike, yeah.
Yeah.
So he's better now.
He was playing, in a boot.
Yeah, he's just playing on hard surface.
Wow.
Playing in a boot, to take the pressure off.
But that's a guy who can knock down shots. Yeah. And he knocked down a couple of big ones.
And they're big bodies. Like, there's no one in that team except Redick. I mean, and he hasn't played McConnell all series. And I only imagine...
Has he had any minutes at all?
Trash minutes.
Yeah.
We got to garbage time pretty quickly last game.
9 minutes, yeah.
He will be useful in a series against Boston. Definitely in that kind of Kyrie, Terry style system. Useful in that series.
Yeah. In the wrinkle to take the pressure off Ben Simmons type thing.
Yeah, but I mean, Ben Simmons is actually turning out to be quite a robust point guard. Like for a 6'9", 6'10" guy. Not putting up hella good numbers this series, 14, 15 points a night, few rebounds, 7 assists, 3 assists in the first game, I think 6 in the second, 7 in the last game. But he's kind of taken the ego out of the game. This game isn't about Ben Simmons. This is a game about winning. Russell Westbrook could never take the ego out of the game.
No, it's very all eyes on me type attitude.
It's just like I'm Russell Westbrook. I need to take over this game. Where Ben Simmons is like, I'm just happy. And I think the other thing that Brett Brown's done very well, and I think this is the big reason why Jimmy Butler will stay, is just give Jimmy the point. That's what he's wanted his whole career, is to run the point.
And if you get Ben Simmons to buy in to just, okay, I'll step back for a couple of plays. Because I noticed at the end of game 2, I think it was, right, I think, did Embiid take the last shot? That spinning layup was the last shot. There was an inbound, I think it was about 30 seconds to go, and Ben Simmons, like Jimmy Butler kind of went to walk up the court, and Ben Simmons was like, no, you're taking the shot.
Yeah.
And he went, oh, yeah, okay, I'm taking the shot. Okay, give me the ball. And it was like supposed to be an inbound to Simmons, but Simmons turned around and like, no, like give the ball to Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
And then I think he created that Embiid spin, basically gave it to him for the lane, which having that mentality in your team is so important in the playoffs. Like Jimmy Butler's not a seasoned playoffs guy, but he feels like he can be there, and that's enough sometimes. He feels
like he's clutch. Like he's smart enough, and he's been in the game long enough that he knows who to get someone into a good position. How do I get offensively? He's a pretty good ball handler. Like he doesn't turn the ball over a hell of a lot. And so you're going to get a guy who can knock down a 3 ball, who can knock down the mid-range jumper, and who can get to the rim in a clutch situation, or knows when he's beaten and hands it off to Embiid or a Tobias Harris.
Harris. What about Harris in this series?
I think Harris is still a little bit lost. It's a weird series for Harris. I think that he's just like, I'm not the main guy anymore. Like, my job isn't to score. I'm going to have to work a little bit on my defense. But he's 6'8". Like, he's a decent size and height. But I think, when I would like to see him, when he gets the pass, not try and put the ball on the floor and get into the mid-range, just pull up. Yeah. I think you're going to get about the same percentage at both, because in the playoffs, Ben Simmons gets him on the line a couple of times. He gets rushed at. And it seems like that, unless he's wide open, he doesn't like to shoot the 3 ball. I think he needs to get that out of his game and not try and put the ball on the floor. There's too many people in the paint already.
Yeah, it's a Simmons problem, really.
It's a Simmons problem. It's an Embiid problem. It's a Butler problem because they all hang around in the paint. The other thing as well is that with Harris is that there are certain plays where he takes the ball up. In those plays, play a 1-2 ISO game where you can get into the mid-range and score. And Simmons can clear out and come in for the putback or the offensive board and things like that. As you've seen, what he's been doing is cutting baseline after the shot's gone up to either put the putback or to slap it out.
A couple of times he's come down in broken play and he'll just make a real quick dive. And once he's got a step on people, he's so big that you can't get in between him, and he's so fast that he'll get around you anyway, catch anything. Like a couple of times Butler's just like turn and just toss these lasers at him. Yeah. And just laid it in. Like, it's perfect offense, because if you can't shoot, you need to do other things. And I'm still surprised, like, nobody really is talking about how he can't shoot anymore. They're all going, well, I think he does other things. That's a lot better.
I think everyone's talking about the fact that they're one jump shot away. If they keep this team together for next year, even if they don't go the whole way this year, he's a jump shot away from being the Dubs can't beat this guy. When you have to respect Simmons' shot, when Simmons can put up 3 or 4 from the mid-range a night, maybe 1-3, it opens up the floor a whole lot more. Tobias Harris can operate in the paint. Redick, you have to give, there's a 1-2 perimeter game with Redick where you can set a double screen for Redick and then Simmons can cut back in because you have to come out to Simmons. It's going to be a lot more open space in the paint for Embiid to work. And so, yeah, he's a one jump shot away from okay, this is the new dynasty for 3 years, realistically.
Hopefully, because they're all quite young. They're all in their early 20s. Redick's pretty much the oldest there in his late 30s, mid to late 30s.
He's 33, 34.
You got Harris, 28. Yeah. 26. Ennis, 28.
Ennis is 25, isn't he?
28. 28. Here. Korkmaz, 21. Mike Scott's only 30. Maybe if you could flip Redick into another shooter or keep him going for the next few years as a sort of peripheral piece. He's played a lot better in this series. I don't think he was that good in that Brooklyn series, but you can tell in this series, if you look at this Toronto roster, Danny Green and Lowry aren't great perimeter defenders. They're not great inside defenders. And then you look at these other guys, you got Marc Gasol, a tall center, and then you got Serge Ibaka. Siakam has been really good, but he can't do everything on his own. And then there's nothing else there really. Powell, Meeks, Van Vliet, Lin,
they haven't even played Lin. I think give Lin a run.
Well, you look at we'll watch what matches up with Philly here left. Piece for piece for piece. Suddenly you get to Powell and Van Vliet and you're like, oh, these don't match anywhere. What do I do? And then that's 2 guys where they're gone. And Van Vliet's a decent point guard. He could probably give you more. 1 of 11 he shot in this. But his size is hampered because Philly is so big that his size is hampering them, man.
Well, this is the problem. In a shortened rotation where you're getting size for 48 out of 48 minutes, what do you do?
It's the smallest big lineup, I think you said a couple of weeks ago, that they've got in the league.
And so in the starting 5, Redick's the shortest at 6'4".
The biggest small lineup, Redick 6'4". And he feels like in this series, he's gotten longer. I don't know why. Maybe it's Lowry.
I don't know if his perimeter defense has gotten better.
It's better in this series, man.
Yeah, it is.
Because he was getting rinsed a little bit in that Brooklyn series, but Dinwiddie and LeVert are
smarter players in terms of perimeter, and they can
go
shoot
at that guy type offense. It's in this Toronto. It feels like they don't have a go at that guy type thing.
They don't have a go at that guy because they haven't got 4 shooters. Brooklyn has 4 shooters. They have LeVert, Dinwiddie, Russell. A lot of guys who can knock it down from the perimeter. You're only putting it in Leonard, Siakam, and Green's hands in the perimeter. So there's not 4 guys that can go at Redick, and he can't get switched on. Whereas Simmons, you watch Simmons, he fights around every screen, or he will undercut the screen, and Leonard's just like, shit, all right, I pass it out, and then there's a hand in the way, or Embiid's running out, and it's been a good series. Game 4 tomorrow morning. No Siakam for he's
possibly,
doubtful.
But I heard on the telecast today, it sounds like he's out. Might be out for the rest of the series when they were talking today.
Okay.
But then, you're right. Gasol is not. They're not getting enough from him. It doesn't.
No, they're not getting enough from him. I think they thought that matchup would work, and he's just not shooting well. He's old,
and he's older, and he's not defending well, but he's not taking shots. I've noticed. He'll be semi-open, but just not let it fly.
And they're leaving him open. It's like, he's a 33% 3-point shooter. We don't want it in Leonard, who's shooting 50%. So we'll rotate, double team on Leonard and leave Gasol open, and that's it.
Yeah.
What do you do?
I don't think they've got enough. There's no change-up guy there.
No.
You know what I mean? If they had another Siakam...
They're not deep enough in their bench.
If you had another Siakam that was kind of a guard, you'd go, oh, yeah, they have... you've got that extra guy to bring out like that, but there's Van Vliet, Powell, Meeks, and Lin, and it's McCaw. There's nothing there. Yeah. Really. What else? So game 4 tomorrow... What do you got thoughts for the rest of the series?
But it depends on Siakam. If Siakam's out, I think it's a wrap. Really, it's a pretty big wrap.
Did you feel like that first game was Kawhi's, like, this is my Kawhi game type of thing? What do you have? He had 45. But look at this, like 45, and then Siakam had 29. Then you got Lowry 9, Green 7, Marc Gasol 8. Like, nobody else had double figures.
No.
That kind of gives you like this, oh, okay, maybe if that dries up.
You can't run 48 minutes of Kawhi. He's not that good. No one's that good, right? Maybe LeBron. Maybe LeBron's that good. He has shown in the past. He could be that. So you're going to get 40 out of Kawhi. Okay, right. We're going to lock down Siakam. He gets 18. Then we're just going to lock down the rest of them. You got 80 points. They can't do the same in offense.
They had 89 in game 2, yeah. And that was like, what have we got here? Lowry had 20, Leonard 35, Siakam 21, and then the rest nothing.
Nothing.
So yeah, it's what are your predictions for game
3?
4?
If Siakam doesn't game 4, if Siakam doesn't play, it'll be a blowout.
You reckon?
We'll be in trash time by 3 minutes into the fourth quarter. They have nothing. They have nothing if Siakam doesn't play. Even if Lowry drops 50, even if Lowry drops 50, even if Leonard drops 60, if Leonard drops 65, it gets close. But you as soon as he comes off the floor, I think the 2 minutes to start the fourth in last game, they went on like a 12 run.
Yeah.
Because defensively as well, you got to think what they got. Van Fleet, you're just not going to stop Simmons. He just barges down the paint, and away he goes.
He's too big. Yeah, they're just missing that other guard who's the size of Siakam, basically.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I hope Philly will make it 3-1 because that'll be huge if they can get through. I don't know if Kawhi's had his big game yet. Like, that first game really felt like, wow, Kawhi, unstoppable. This is crazy.
But yeah, the last
16
2 games,
of 23, 3 of 7 from 3. Like, wow, Kawhi. Like, the last 3 games haven't felt like, wow, Kawhi. Like, in moments you go, Kawhi's really doing it here, but there's nothing else. What do we do?
You could see he's searching. He's searching. Is like, I can't. At the end of the third, he was tired. You could see, like, I mean, he's not played 80 games. He didn't play at all last season. So maybe he's not super peak, fit.
Yeah. And his game's not super efficient, really.
No.
Like, diving into the mid-range, diving at the hoop, really moving long distances to create shots. It's not efficient. Like,
I mean, it's amazing, but it's not
efficient. If you could maybe get Danny Green to shoot more threes, maybe they could be better, but you can't really create that when you got guys like Simmons, Scott, even Bolden coming off the bench, with his wingspan. Like, they've got guys who can throw at shooters. I don't know, man. I hope Philly go up 3-1.
3-1, and then take it back home to Toronto and just wipe the floor. Go into the next series, which we'll move on to the next series, which goes into the East. Boston Bucks.
Yeah, we'll talk about Boston Bucks. This one I haven't really watched that much of.
I watched a lot of Game 2. I didn't watch any of Game 1. I think it was on quite early, but I watched the highlights, and obviously Game 3 was on yesterday morning. Sorry, yesterday our time, and I've watched the highlights of that.
The first game, Al Horford, man, was just a beast.
He was. Giannis didn't play particularly well.
Nah.
Lopez didn't shoot well. I've been saying this all series. The Bucks cannot. If you take them to 7, chances are you will win. They cannot put. You have to beat them on a night they're shooting well. That's the difference, because you will beat them on a night they don't shoot well.
Yeah.
You have to beat them on a night they're shooting well. And they'll do that 60, 70% of the time. So if you don't take a night when they're shooting well away from them, you're not going to win the series.
Yeah.
And I don't think Boston can do that. First game, they didn't shoot well. They didn't play well. But they come back. They play really well. I
think they can. I think
they're missing Smart too much as a perimeter defender against a team that just shoots threes.
I think Game 1 felt like the Horford played 1-on-1 against Giannis so well. And it felt like where Boston had that experience, they went, all right, we've been here before. We know what we're doing here.
Yeah, but Horford's 34. Giannis is 25 and much, much fitter. You can't do that for 7 games.
No, and where Game 2, instead of, the Bucks going, oh no, like, here we go again. This team's going to beat us now. This sucks. Like, we don't know what to do. Like, they've just gone, let's try a bit harder. Yep. Sure, let's just get out there. Giannis play a bit harder. everyone else is going to try in this series. And, it was a close game until I think they pulled away sort of near the end.
Yeah, but they had a 40-point three-point quarter. A third quarter, 40 points.
Yeah, 39 points to 18. That's where they pulled away in that game. But you look at this, like Kyrie Irving, 4 of 18. They locked him up a little bit more.
Well, that's the thing is as well. I mean, Uncle Drew is Uncle Drew, best handler in the game. But he is only 6'4".
Yeah.
And in this day and age...
He's still so crafty, though.
He's very crafty. He hasn't been shooting well this series at all. Still very crafty, but doesn't fit in with his Boston team.
Yeah, or...
He doesn't
flip it the other way. This Boston team doesn't fit with what he wants to do.
Yeah, well, it doesn't. But that you can't bring in... You can't trade for him... And now he's injured for the whole year. So we bring all these other guys and we play this really good basketball that got us to the Eastern Conference Finals. Got us,
seven games.
7 games last year.
I don't know how they didn't beat Cleveland.
Anyway, that was a very frustrating last game to watch. I think that was, Rugier's not incompetence, but,
just inexperience.
Inexperience, being young. He hasn't been really effective in this series at all. But,
Nah, he's awful in game 2 of 10.
Yeah.
4 from 3.
I can tell you now, if he was playing Philly, he's shooting 70%. They just play better against Philly. I think anyway.
Yeah.
They do.
Game raiser.
Yeah. It's a good rivalry. Mate, I'd love to see that as an Eastern Conference final.
That'd be great, wouldn't it?
I don't think
the Bucks feel like what they're going through to get through this series is making them grow in confidence. Yeah. And we said it that you have to go through the fire to get there. You can't just assume anything. And I feel like Giannis is so determined. Like, you watch him play, he never gets flustered. He never gets super out of control. And the rest of this team can kind of take a shooting, like they've showed in game 2 and 3, they can take a bad shooting night and just go, you know what, we'll try better. We'll keep shooting.
But that's their game. And I've said that's their game. It's a better game than Houston because Houston has a bad night, and then they're just like, yeah, we'll keep shooting, but then they don't change anything. They don't play harder. They just have another bad shooting night. Whereas the Bucks, like, all right, Giannis goes, I'm going to get into the paint more and I'm going to kick it better. I'm going to see above the line. I'm going to get... Second game, he just drove into the paint, kicked.
Middleton, 7 of 10 from 3 in game 2.
If you're shooting 70%, you're not going to lose. Your highest volume 3-point shooter is shooting... And he had a great night.
Yeah.
Boston
I still feel like he doesn't fit in this team, eh?
I think he does. I think that he is the team. He's the epitome of, right, you stand
Middleton.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, but he wants to create. Like, in that game 1, you could see he was trying to, like, we're behind. Like, I'm going to try and create and do this and that.
Well, they don't have another player that can do that. Giannis is that player, but it's just like, if I can't get into the paint because Horford's smart or Baines' his body, and if fouls aren't getting called, I don't have anything.
Yeah.
So we'll give the ball to Middleton. And I like that. Bledsoe's been pretty bad in this series thus far. He hasn't been great. But again,
he's kind of a bad playoff player, really. This game 2, 7 of 12 from the field. It's not too bad.
Yes.
3 of 5 from 3. But he is a notorious bad player in the playoffs. So any good, any return above the line that you get from Bledsoe, you're just like, oh, sweet. He's a shit playoff player. Like, he's doing better.
Yeah, but
so you're always going to look at it and go, yeah, great. That's good. Sweet.
I agree. And
unless he's shit, where you're just like, he's shit.
Last game, they got like 18 points out of George Hill.
Yeah, he actually played really well.
He did.
I know you hate him, but he actually played really good in that
He did
game.
play really well. I was just like, fuck.
And like hustled, and you were just like, how are you guys letting George Hill out hustle you? Like, what the fuck are you doing?
I don't understand. And Connaughton had a good game for the first time in ages, knocked down the free ball quite well. Do you know he's got a higher vertical jump than Vince Carter?
Really?
Yeah.
How tall is he? I'm gonna look that
Looks
up.
About 6'3", I reckon.
Connaughton, 6'4", 209.
He's got a 44-inch vertical leap. Vince Carter had 43.
You never see that from him, but
he's not going to
shoot threes and stand around. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if like Boston have the juice, man. Like, they don't have the juice to beat this type of team if they're shooting well. And you're exactly right. You have to beat this team when they're shooting well to actually beat them.
Yeah, because you know that you're going to get maybe 1 or 2 games in a 7-game series where it's going to be a shoe-in, right? They're not going to shoot well. They're going to have a bad night. That was game 1. And you can take it at home as well. But you have to come back and beat them on a good shooting night. And I don't think Boston can outshoot them.
Well, I don't know what weapons they really have.
If Kyrie
been really bad in this series as well.
If they get Kyrie, if Kyrie scores 40, they might win.
That's so out of the box, though. You know what I mean? Like, if Kyrie's playing really well, it's because he's taken everyone out of the equation and just doing it all himself.
Yep.
And then who else is going to go along? Like, it feels like this team doesn't want to go along with that. They're just like, oh, man, like, give me the ball. Like, let me shoot the ball. I want all
And Hayward has to step up. He's playing 30 minutes and
he was
scoring
minus 30 in game 2. Ouch.
Yeah, that's terrible.
And he was like a guy looking, oh, wow, like Hayward could really be the piece that sparks them in these playoffs. And he's been pretty bad in this series. 8 from 21 from the field, 4 of 10 from 3. That's not too bad.
Maybe they did just get a little bit too easy a run in the first series. Just sweeping Indiana.
Yeah,
maybe they just didn't. It seems like
they didn't iron out all the kinks.
Yeah, Philly got the wind shoved into them. Oh, this Brooklyn team's fast. It's good. I think the Raptors got. Orlando takes the first game. Shit. All right, we've got to iron out that work out our matchups and just, get the shooting going well. But Boston is like, oh yeah, 4 games, we'll just stroll into the next round. It's just like, they don't seem to have ironed out that. And Brad Stevens is a smart guy. I don't...
But they had existing chemistry issues, though.
They have existing chemistry issues, and it doesn't seem like they've shortened their rotation enough.
Nah, but how do you shorten it? Really? Like, you can't just play Irving, Brown, Horford, Hayward, Tatum, Morris. Like, do you drop Rozier? Like, Baines has played 21 minutes. Like, we haven't even talked about him yet. He's kind of unplayable, man, against Giannis. He's really struggled. He's
unplayable against Giannis. But it's almost like, well, you've got Giannis or you've got Lopez. And you've got one guy that'll just step around you, and the other guy will shoot the free ball over you. So, yeah, he's not...
Kind of unplayable.
He's kind of unplayable in that series. I think he's a bit more...
Unless you got too low and you're scheming that block. That's it.
Yeah, but they don't have. They're playing Tatum at the point guard. He's not a body.
Yeah,
he's not a 6'9" chub body that can come over on the weak side and help defend.
And you look at this Bucks team from last year to this year, and they know how to beat that block now. Like they've looked at that and gone, we know how to beat this. And I feel like Boston tried it in that game 1, it worked. In that game 2, it didn't really work, and they've gone, oh shit! Like, what do we do now? Like, what do we do, guys? And they're kind of scrambling around. Look at this Morris shooting 72%, 16 of 22 in this series. Like, that's... But then how do you justify giving him 40 minutes in a game and being like, that's our offense? You know what I mean? Like, they're not... It's not a scheme of guys that's like, this guy makes this guy better. This guy makes this guy better. It's
I think they've been so used to holding teams to under 100 points defensively and be like, we don't need to be that scoring team because we know we can run these guys off the perimeter and hold them to 100. And therefore you're playing that scrapyard kind of ISO basketball with Kyrie down the stretch to get you home. That's the idea. But they've just kind of been blown away by Middleton shooting 70%, Connaughton shooting well, George Hill having a great game. Lopez hasn't played particularly well.
Their 3 ball's kind of gone. You look at this, Tatum 0 of 8. Morris is 8 of 12 from 3. Rozier 2 of 11. Hayward 4 of 10. Horford, which he's
been playing well.
The first game, the pick and pop just killed the Bucks.
Yeah,
and then like it was Horford and Kyrie. He was just giving Horford threes. Like, and then the Bucks went, okay, we won't switch that anymore. And then it's like, oh, we can't do that anymore. What do we do? And Kyrie didn't play well because he, when they were trying that, it didn't work, and he had to kind of go to the basket. And there was really nothing. If the Bucks' defense is set, there really isn't much Kyrie can do going to the rim. Like, you got to make him a jump shooter, and some nights he's not going to be good, man, because that's just how he is. But you're right, they need to go to the end of the game. It's Kyrie time. Yeah, not. The whole game's Kyrie time, everyone. No, because that feels like it disrupts, like it just puts static in the offense, and
it's just like you're playing tit for tat. You're playing 4 points down, 4 points up. It's Kyrie time. 5 to go. Uncle Drew clear out of the way. Lockdown defense. Either he goes in and scores or he goes and kicks, and you get some good perimeter shooters. Hayward in the corner, but he hasn't been great. Although 40% is not bad. He's just not taking volume. I don't know why.
Nah, but so far. The first game, they didn't really have to do that because it kind of blew the game out. The second game, they didn't have a chance to do that because the Bucks blew the game out. So the Bucks have kind of danced around that. They've gone, we'll just run the game out and then make it a we'll make it so we don't have Kyrie time at the end of these games by, third quarter blitzes. But what do you reckon for the rest of this series, man? It's tough to call.
It's tough to call. I think Boston pick it. I think it goes to 3-1. Boston pick it up, and it's a 4-2 series. Bucks.
Yeah.
I think Boston gets one more. I think they've got another bad night.
Yeah, I think Boston can win at home. They've got to win the next one at home. Like you can't go. Yeah, they're going to lose 3 straight here, and that's going to be it. Like I don't feel like they're that team.
Yeah, Bucks are pretty special though.
Yeah, but they're kind of still like, I don't know if I'm putting money down on them yet.
I don't know.
They're not a team where you're just like money down. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like that yet.
The Raptors are still favorites to win that series.
Serious?
Yeah.
Even though they're down 2-1.
It's pretty close, but yeah, they're still favorites to win that series.
I can see that though. Like
how?
Theorizing, you're just like, Kawhi's mad. And, but you can't make tangible comments about what Philly do because there isn't a thing you can point to and go, that's why they're beating this team. It's like everyone is doing a lot of awesome shit that's making that team really good in a team. It's kind of like the Warriors a few years ago where no one would go, like you couldn't work it out. Like you just go, why the fuck is this team so good? Because, they do all these fundamental things off ball. They do all this Draymond, like no one wants to give Draymond any credit. But then when you really break him down and watch him, you're like, fucking hell, that guy's a mad defender and he can defend 2 guys at once. I think Philly's doing shit that the Warriors were doing like 4 years ago where all this high-level fundamental shit off ball, I feel like guys that watch Houston and guys that watch the Bucks don't really see that.
They don't see the screens that are set, the double screens, the back traps, all right, let's get a shooter open. So, yeah, I don't think that you see the screen sets, the back traps. They're like, all right, let's get the shooter open. Nope, the shooter's going to pass into the lane for a cutting forward. Like, you don't see that with the Bucks. It's just like kick, smash, Giannis down the lane, Harden
is so
ISO.
Magical that you just see crazy shit that he does and you're like, fuck, that's amazing. And Harden's got such a 3-card game where you watch him do it and you're just like, fuck, that's mad, like what he does. Whereas some of these other teams do old school fundamental shit, like Boston does it a little bit as well. And if you don't watch that, you just see mad threes, man. Like how good are mad threes? And you're just like, yeah, it's all right.
Just if you ever get a chance and you're watching a Philly, just watch JJ Redick off ball. Watch how much he runs around to somehow get a screen curl. Someone set a screen for him.
And how good their screening action is, man. And how good Ben Simmons, like even though there's barely any space in the lane, how much he can just like squeeze past people that it's not like they're in the way. It's like they're there because, I'm here because I know he can squeeze through that hole. And I'm making sure 2 guys can't get at that. He squeezes through and gets a layup. Like other team, like this Rockets team, like we'll segue onto the Rockets now, man.
Yeah.
Their basketball is just horrible. I can't handle it.
It is the most boring basketball to watch.
So we'll start from like the first game. Like, did you think that was bad refereeing?
Yes.
Yeah?
But I always had it was always going to be bad. The Dub series are always going to be reffed very differently to the rest of the NBA. There's too many tried and tricks and, the NBA doesn't want them to three-peat. They don't.
Yeah.
So we can't say that out loud, but you kind of get the feeling from the refereeing, some pretty hilarious reffing today as well, that they don't want them to three-peat. Or they want these series to go to 7 games because they know they're down on the numbers. They need TV. You're not going to get in the East Coast. You're not getting the same numbers in the West Coast. One of the biggest markets, New York, is out of it now. LA is completely out of it. So you're getting these little markets like Golden State, which is more your international market than your domestic market. Houston, Philly, Toronto. So you're getting these small markets, and you get like Milwaukee's a tiny.
I think they're one of the smallest in the league. Yeah,
tiny market. Yet they're there. So a great basketball team.
Good, yeah,
great basketball team.
Likeable
but
as well.
It's not bringing money in for the NBA because when that deal comes up, TV's going to be like, yeah, you're down 30%. We're not paying the same as last time.
Doesn't that suck? Doesn't like being an adult watching this sport and then just going, oh yeah, there's all this business shit involved. Doesn't that just make you just go? Ugh.
It's just like, well, at some point these players can't get paid $50 million a season. Like it's not going to get, you're not going to get every contract renewal. You're not going to get more and more money. Like it doesn't work like that. Just be happy you're making $35 million. Go do your ads, Go sell your chicken wings. Go do all that. Sell your In-N-Out burgers. Make your money that way. But at some point, the league needs to say, well, one, any more money, we need to bring more teams into the discussion. Because right now, I think it's till 2024. There's no more increase. And, you put 2 more teams in, you don't... The money gets spread.
There needs more teams, man.
I think...
It needs less games. Like, these guys get to the playoffs, like, all the way to the end of the playoffs, and you can see that they're running on fumes. Like, a few of even Harden looks like he's running on fumes.
Yeah, I think you probably need to go 10 less games minimum.
And then maybe a week break.
Adam Silver's talking about bringing in FIBA rules.
Oh, don't.
It's a worst. It's a bad product, man. You just get lane trash.
Yeah.
And...
What they've got, I think, is a nice balance. It just needs less games. It needs maybe a week before the playoffs start for everyone to just get a bit more healthy. Like, they've done sort of stat things where if guys that play less games put up better stats, have better nights. And you kind of want that. Like, you want the competition to get better, but you don't want people stepping in and trying to make the competition better, if you know what I mean.
In saying that, though, you have to look at the flip side. And one of the things in the NBL is like, all right, you have less games and you have shortened rotations and you don't get the young breakthrough players playing enough minutes to get into the, you get less of the underproduct. You get, a shrinking of depth in all right, we're playing 60 games now. We need one less squad on one less position on the squad because we don't really need the depth. Well, there's 10 guys that aren't getting paid, potentially a young guy that's coming through that's not seen. So it's kind of like, all right, there's a product. Again, you've got 15 guys in the rotation. You've got 3 guys on a 2A. You've got enough to, just play some junk games, which is done by the best teams. Like the best coaches don't play. You just play junk games. You rest him, you don't rest him. Kawhi sat for 24 games. They still won 50-odd games.
58 or whatever.
58, he sat for 24. So it's actually 82. So they just didn't win any games that he sat for. They did, but I'm just saying it just works out. 58. But that's the idea, is that it's a TV game. These guys want to earn $35, $36 million a year. You have to play those games. How it's managed is depth. Some games you rested, like the smart Kyrie gets rested, Embiid gets rested. You don't need to play 80 games a year.
Yeah,
you don't. You need to play 50 games a year if you're a big man, or 65 games. You got depth at the big position. So I think that these guys are all tired because in the West they had to jostle for position.
Yeah, that was a bloodbath, man.
It's a bloodbath. All right, but that's good. That's a good thing because it's more exciting. Whereas in the East, they could have sat these guys 10 games ago. They could have sat Giannis for the last 10 games. They could have sat Chris Middleton for the last 10 games. No one really cares. Just as long as you get to the postseason and get home court advantage. That's all it is.
But it feels like in this playoffs, home court advantage hasn't really mattered at all for some of these teams. Like Philly dropped a game. Toronto's now dropped a game. Boston's dropping games. They didn't in the first round. But I don't... Like, it feels further and further away from... These two teams are playing 48 minutes of basketball and the winner determines the victor. That's it. Like, now there's like refereeing involved and like that whole big, like, the refs were really, and then Houston just like getting upset for 48 hours and you're just like, it's a fucking game. Like, do we even need this, man? Like, you lost, like, move on, win the next game. They had a good chance in the second game to win that. Like, I don't understand why we can't just go, 2 teams are going head to head. How great is it? If it's 4-0, then too bad you lost 4-0.
Yeah.
What a shame. Like, in the first game, I didn't feel like those, like, maybe one of them, felt like maybe one of them was a foul where you go, yeah, that's a foul. A lot of them, he's like jumping up in the air and I've watched it and I've noticed he jumps in the air a whole lot higher when he knows someone's coming at him.
Yes.
So he can stay in the air, like, just in case someone comes through a bit late, or he like puts his legs out and it makes it look like they're coming at him late and he falls on the ground. And I'm like, I'm not into that, man. I think he's good enough to be a player. Like, if that was, Scrubby McGee from the G League, like, I'd go, okay, good on you, Scrubby McGee, like, good stuff. But it's James Harden, man. Why does he need to do this shit? It doesn't make sense to me. So the no call at the end of the game, did you think that was a good no call? Like, it wasn't a foul?
It wasn't a foul.
I don't think it was a foul, man. I don't understand. Like, the other thing is, like, it's everyone's great hope to beat the Warriors.
Yes.
is Houston. It's like, if this Houston team doesn't win, then they're just going to steamroll everyone and the Warriors win.
There's two great hopes, and I don't think it's Houston. I always think this series was going to go down easily. It's the Bucks, because they play a very, very weird style of basketball. That
even Philly a little bit.
And the reason it's Philly is because we really don't know how this is going to work postseason when you shorten the rotation. Ben Simmons seems to have smashed. But again, the Bucks have got a playoff Iggy who's been playing just stupidly.
The
Warriors have got a playoff Iggy.
How good has he been?
It's just ridiculous. It's 35 and dunking, and then just shooting the three ball.
Got absolutely roofed by Capella today.
Yeah, he did on that block. Yeah, that was great.
That was awesome. It was good to see, like, the saltiness in me is just like, dude, you've been trashed for 2 games, and now you're like, I blocked him. How good am I? Stomping around the court. But that was a phenomenal block, and a momentum swing too, because he had gotten heaps of dunks in that series. I think he had like 18 or 19 dunks. He was leading the entire playoffs in dunks. But the other thing too is that, like, the difference between these two teams is the Warriors, if they're patient, can unlock a defense.
Yeah.
Whereas if the Rockets are patient, it ends up in one guy's hand for 20 seconds, and then he just tries to draw, like Harden, and just tries to drive and puts up a shot, or tries to drop it to Capella, and he can't really do that in this series.
Yeah.
The thing is, the Warriors are the only team really who can play them one-on-one, like match them up one-on-one. We saw the Jazz try all sorts of different crazy schemes, like the Rubio sideways, the Rubio, like, I'm doing you from behind type shit. But the Warriors can play Harden face up. So that takes Capella out of the game completely, because if your guy is never getting blown by, so the other guy has to help, Capella's never in the game. And a lot of people are like, obviously the Rockets won today, and they're like, you know what they need to do? They need to go back to Clint Capella and Harden pick and roll. And you're like, they never fucking run that, man.
No.
He just stands there, and it's always 3 guys over-rotate because they're like, oh no, Harden's going to get to the rim, and he always gets a wide-open dunk. Yeah. And I just don't like it, man. It's not a good style. I don't think it's very good to watch. The problem is that it's everyone's great hope to beat the Warriors, so they're just like, oh, well, whatever, we're going to have to sit through this because we hope the Warriors lose.
Yeah.
And I don't like some of the shit that Harden does, man. Like the diving, like he got scratched in the eye, and that was fucked in that second game. Like, that was bad, and Curry I think he's broken his finger, but he's just not saying he broke his finger, because if you saw that, just see that, man, that looked way worse than it was. His lefty layups have disappeared after that. His shooting's gone really bad after that. But one guy didn't say a thing. The other guy, I can't even see. I'm like, you hit like 4 of 7 in the fourth quarter. Like, I think you can see, man. At the free throw line, he's going, like, and they've got to like, it's a narrative thing. Like, it's not even a real basketball thing. Oh, the camera's on me.
Yeah, I know. It's like Kyle Lowry.
Like, bro, can we just play? Like, can we just play the fucking game?
If you look at the Bucks, there's less diving. I mean, there's certain guys in the league.
They're way more likable, man. Because of that. Yeah. We play hard. Yeah, cool.
Even the Raptors. Games. Like, Kawhi plays hard. Lowry does not play hard. Siakam plays. Lowry's a fucking muppet. He's a fucking muppet. He's just annoying. He's like the pest.
Yeah.
He's a massive pest.
He's a bit of a deli.
He's a bit of a deli. But, I mean, Deli doesn't fling himself around the floor. Larry flings himself around a bit harder, and Chris Paul flings himself.
We didn't talk about that nut punch.
Yeah, well, he deserved that.
I said to you, he's just checking to see if they were there.
Just checking if they were there for that series, and they seem to have gone missing.
But back on, like, these, I think the gulf really between these two teams, the Warriors and Houston, is actually quite big. But the things that Houston do make it seem like it's close. Like today, at the end of the game, there was, I wrote down here, in the fourth, they had 8 points from free throws in the last 7 minutes, and then a 3 from Rivers. Yet in overtime, Harden hit that dagger, and that's like, oh, Harden's so clutch, hit that dagger. I'm like, yeah, but where was he in regulation, man? He didn't close that game.
No.
Like, they shot 2 field goals in the last 7 minutes of the fourth. They were very lucky, the Warriors. Curry missed a couple of layups. Clay missed a couple of shots. Durant was just like insane. Like, he's been insane in this series.
Playoffs MVP.
And, they were very lucky not to lose that game today as well. And, like, the other thing, like, Chris Paul and his flopping, man, and the commentators like, I really like how he sold that contact. And you're like,
It's just like,
no. Call it flopping. Go, this is gross. I'm going to go have a chat to this guy after the game. Say, do not do this. It's gross.
Yeah.
And 2 of those free throws in the fourth were from like a really bad flop. And even Clay, like a guy who never complains, was complaining. Like, he nearly got a technical from it. And you go, if that guy's complaining, it's not. It's a bad call if Clay's complaining. But
was that the hit on the hand?
No, he's kind of like bringing the ball up, and he kind of did this.
No, that was the hit on the hand in the fourth. I was watching it.
No, it was like 70 feet from the basket, and Clay went in to like kind of guard him face up, and Chris Paul just grabbed his hand and just went like that.
Oh, the worst is when you see Harden headlocking everyone and then get the foul.
Yeah.
That is disgusting.
He drives into 3 or 4 guys, takes like 5 steps and just going like this.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, of course someone's going to hit him on the arm. Like, he's just waving his arms around above his fucking head. Like, of course you're going to foul him. Like, but he's taken like 6 steps sometimes when he does it. I don't like it, man. If it was the Bucks and they weren't doing all that shit, I'd just be like, fucking hats off to him, man. Like, playing really good. Like, we don't need to see that shit.
It's very European-esque football.
And that's why, like, the ref shit from game 1 just made me go like, you guys complain the most and complain a fucking lot. Like, every time Gordon drives to the buckle, I was listening to it in the car today, and I just said, blah, 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 on a layup, and they're like, Gordon scores. I'm like, I knew that was Gordon, because every fucking layup, regardless of whether he gets hit, he goes, like that, trying to get a foul. And like, Chris Paul's the same. Like, a couple of times in this series, he's tried to like buy fouls.
Yeah.
He got ejected in the first game for being a dick. Like, things where... Do we have to like this shit, man? Can't we just go, guys, we don't need this shit in the game.
Well, I think that
you're really good at basketball.
There needs to be like a new flagrant brought in. Unnecessary
gross
unnecessary selling of over contact where it's a tech. It's a tech. They replayed that. There's no content. You flopped around everywhere. Give that guy a technical.
I feel like
bringing the game into shitdom.
It's partly fucking we hate Golden State and we don't want them to win.
Yeah.
So you've got to just be like, we're making this deal with the devil. Fuck it. Like, if Houston wins, who cares? They're the lesser of 2 evils. Where to me, it's like, I don't want that gross shit in the game. So suddenly everyone gets desensitized to it. The commentators even just being like, that's a foul. And you're like, you watch the replay and you go, that's not a foul, man. Like, stop saying that's a foul when you just saw a replay and then it's not really a foul. And it's kind of egregious. The other thing is, like, it's a real contrast to, you watch Curry will just get mauled off ball the entire time. As soon as he'll touch something, like he touched Rivers just brushed him on the face with his elbow, goes straight to the floor. And you're just like, dude, the one guy who doesn't ever complain. I've never seen Curry take a dive on anything. He'll get hit. Like, a few times he's been hit on drives where he's like whacked in the face. Like, I've never seen him clutch his face, hit the ground. Like, I saw Clay get hit in the elbow last year. I think he copped a knee in the face. Yeah. He just went to ground and was like, oh, shit, that was pretty bad. Got up and, like, played the rest of the game. Like, we don't need the overselling of contact and all the bullshit that goes with it. And if it was any other team, like, I'd go, yeah, you Scrubby McGee being a scrub. No worries. But it's Houston. Like, they're a fantastic team. So to tie that back into their offense, like, they really only have Harden ISO for 20 seconds, and that's kind of it. Yeah. And the Warriors have kind of found that out. And though a few times today, the Houston could speed the Warriors up. And over the last sort of 4 years, the Warriors have just been like, we're going to make this game as chaotic as we possibly can. Yeah. Because that's how we want to play. Yeah. Whereas now they're like, no, we don't want chaos. We want to restructure the game. Guys, and they get trapped in this. We're kind of trying to restructure the game for Durant here, guys. And today, they kind of went a little bit wild at the end. They were missing some shots. But Houston's is just like, it's nothing. It's like candy floss. Like, you can't go, wow, they really scheme great defense or great offense. Like, this is really great to watch. Like, I can't look at it and go, yeah, him holding the ball for 20 seconds is great. Austin Rivers hit 1-3. Wow, that's great. Shumpert hit 3 of 3 after going like naught of 9 in the series. And like Gordon... Like, everyone's like, oh, Gordon torched us today. I'm like, he was 4 of 11 from beyond 27 feet. Like, they're bad shots, man. Yeah. Like, we've got to be looking at that and going, that's a fucking bad shot. Like, at one day, you're going to go 0 of 27 and lose a game because you're taking 5 27-foot threes. Like, it's not a good shot. And
just feel that salt building.
Yeah, well, I just don't like it, man. I don't like that style of play. It's just not, and it's not even a bad. Like the Clippers, the way the Clippers play was a bad matchup for the Warriors.
Yeah.
It's like we're goons and we'll goon ya, and if people let us get away with gooning ya, sweet. The Rockets are like, we're kind of goony, but we try and get away with it, and we just look like dicks, and who cares? We'll just try and beat you anyway. And I don't like that. Be goons. If you want to be goons, be goons. Like the stupid stat I got here, Curry has the most fouls in this series. Like, how does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, you've got a guy like Capella and Ney and Tucker, somehow, like Tucker's second behind him. How does Tucker not have more fouls than Curry? Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, with that first game.
And Curry doesn't even on-ball defend against the Rockets. Like, how does he have the most fouls? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So, Bogut, like, let's tie that back into Bogut. Like, he's totally unplayable.
Completely unplayable. But again, I always said on every podcast, he's in there for certain matchups because, you know, you're not going to pick up a guy 3 weeks out of regular season that can play at the elbow. You know what I mean? Unless you trade for, like, an old center who can play at the elbow, which is no one currently I can see in the league. Really.
Yeah.
So you got Bogut. Yeah. He's going to be useful against a couple of teams. We knew that Houston wouldn't be one of them. Denver would be one, definitely.
Or Portland. But I still feel like he's at a level that...
Cantor,
again,
I think he'd be play up quite well against Cantor.
Maybe.
Myles Leonard,
so slow, man. For the NBA, I think the NBA athletically is just another level that people try it on now. Like 4 years ago, they wouldn't try on, I can just kind of try this on. Sweet.
Yeah.
Like... Oh, sweet, I'm getting away with this. I'll keep doing it. Like Harden's club offs, man. Have you seen those?
Yeah.
Where he just, like, he'll go, someone will fly 8 feet and then he'll be like, splash, give me the highlight. How sweet was that? And you're just like, you just clubbed a guy like 8 feet. What the fuck? That's not a great highlight. You shoved the guy. It should have been an offensive foul. Why are we like, that's great. I love that.
There's a lot of shoving.
A lot, man.
A lot of off shoving with the leading elbow.
I don't like it, man.
But Simmons does this, and then no calls. And then they'll call, like, Harris jumping straight up in the air because he made contact. But he held position and jumped straight in the air, and you drove into him. But someone goes like that, and it's just like, that's sweet.
It's like they've just gone, everyone shoves off, so we just won't call that shit anymore.
Yeah, I don't know.
And some guys, it's part of their game. I don't really see Curry or Clay do it. Clay's not a great driver at the rim. Durant just doesn't have the power. Like he's 7 foot. And
but he just jumps above everyone.
Yeah, which is fair enough. He lands on guys a lot. Like talk about guys who actually land on the defender. Rarely gets calls. And then Livingston's the same. Livingston, 9 out of 10 of his jump shots, he just lands on the guy guarding him. Never gets fouls. And none of these guys ever complain. You don't see them being like, oh man, we should have got more calls. You know, I want a fair game. You're like, this is a fair game, bro.
Yeah.
Like, stop trying to manipulate the refs. You might get a fair game.
It's a lot of selling.
Because he's so good, man. Like, he's such a good player. Like, he'd be mad if he was in that Warriors system. He'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
As, you know, if Clay wasn't there. But then you just, like, the amount of work that Clay does defensively. It's like he has sliders, like you slide up his defense and then the offense goes down. And you're like, but look how much defense he's doing. Like he had a jump ball right at the end of this game. Did you see that? And then
he lost to Chris Paul.
Well, Chris Paul grabbed him twice and then jumped into him like that and just smacked the ball away. And I'm going, there's a violation somewhere. Like, what
he kept jumping up just as like before the
Is that another violation? Like, there's something going on there. And then like in the first quarter, he smacked the ball into the crowd. And I'm like, he got ejected for throwing the ball into the crowd earlier this year. Runs over to the ref. I didn't mean that. Sorry, sir. I don't like it, man. Play the game. We'll
go on to the last series. We'll do a quick wrap up of the last.
Talk about that series.
We do because it's been down to the wire. Dame time has been not very good. It's been a bit of CJ time. I think CJ dropped 41. Look,
that triple overtime, quadruple overtime.
A great game. I watched it. Yeah. I watched it from about 5 minutes ago in the fourth.
I had it on, but I didn't watch it.
Jokic was just so tired, man. That dude he looks like a potato sack. He does. He looks like a waterbed. Fantastic player. He looks like a waterbed. And he was fucking knackered. And you could see. But they gave Hart, Denver, good on them. I just don't think Murray's that good yet.
Nah. I think they've got a lot of irrational confidence, which is what got them through that Spurs series.
Yes.
Like they've got a lot of let's just fucking try. Fuck it. And then it might get you through a Spurs series, but when you really come up against, like Portland look a lot more cohesive.
I just think
Zach Collins.
Yeah, well, Cantor's pretty much out now as well.
Yeah, his shoulders like playing with like
separated
no
shoulder. Yeah.
Paul George.
So they've got Zach Collins, Myers Leonard.
He's been out, I think, hasn't he?
Myers
no,
Leonard
he's just out of the rotation because he's unplayable or something.
Pretty much. Zach Collins. So you can see maybe Denver taking this series. I know they're 2-1 down.
Yeah,
but no Cantor without a center. You can see maybe.
I don't know. Denver's like this should work, but then when you watch it, you're like, it's not working. Like, I don't understand why this. Like they ran a really crazy end of gameplay in that first for a 3. There was 2 elevators. It was one elevator here where the guy ran through, and then the guy rescreened and ran through another elevator. Super fucking intense, unique play. And then it's just a 3, and the guy just bricks the 3, and you're like, can't you do like more efficient shit than that? Like you ran 2 elevators, and for just a 3 that a guy bricked anyway.
Yeah,
so part of that makes me go, yeah, they might be a good, really fucking interesting team to see in the Western Conference Final. I think either team is going to get fucking blasted by whether it's Golden State or Houston.
Yes.
Because Houston are just too fast for Denver.
Yes.
And then Portland, I just think they hunt Lillard and McCollum on switches the entire time and destroy. Warriors were doing some unique stuff on defense in this Houston, and it's made you go, oh wow, like they're the first team that you've really gone, oh shit, they're really bottling up this Houston team. I think their second game they had 109 points, but really it was a couple of bullshit calls down the end and some free throws and some bullshit at the end of that game that you're like, fuck, like what's with this Houston team not being able to score? That's kind of weird.
Yeah, but Harden hasn't had a good playoffs at all.
Nah, and with that eye injury too, where he today, like he was hitting shots, like had 41 points. His eye seems to be all right. And they're like close-ups all the time.
Yeah, just like a red eye.
Here's an eye cam.
Poo in the eye.
Show me the eye. I want to see the eye. Yeah, but
cool.
So got a little bit salty there, but that's all right.
Lots of salt. What do you got Portland Denver series? I got Denver in 7.
I like Portland, man.
Just Cantor out. They just don't have a...
I don't know if Denver have like... They have this young team that you're like... They're kind of lucky they're playing Portland and the Spurs. You know what I mean? Like,
they got the easy side of the draw. Yeah, pretty much.
Maybe OKC destroys them, but I still think, I don't know, Adams versus Jokic might have been all right. But either team, I'm like, you're both going to just get train wrecked in the Western Conference Final.
I have to say the East Coast post this is going to be much more interesting.
The Eastern Conference
Final.
Man, there's heaps involved in that. All 4 of those teams are like, fuck, all of those teams could come out of the East. Yeah. There's really only Warriors, Houston that's going to come out of the West, I think.
Definitely.
All right. Yeah, that's about it. Let's wrap it. It's been going for a while.
Wrap it up. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Find us on Facebook, YouTube. We put videos on YouTube now, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So remember to get over there and check it out if you want to see us live. We'll be back doing some other stuff. Probably midweek or next weekend, but
maybe next weekend. Might put out that we did a Detroit Thonmaker wrap up. Might put that out during the week.
Yes, and maybe Utah. We'll do a Utah wrap.
We've got Utah and Spurs. Patty Mills had a good season.
Had a great season. Really. What happens from here is that there's been a lot of talk in the media calling for obviously him to get traded because he's got 2 years, and it's a back end heavy deal.
Patty.
So, yeah.
Oh, they love him, but...
They love him. But what do you do? You've got 13 million.
Oh, I'd keep him, man. It's important. Glue guy.
Yeah.
I think...
From the old days. He's like the last survivor of the old...
Well, for what he gives that organisation, he's not just a piece. Yeah. To just... He's a guy you kind of keep.
Pop loves him. Anyway.
Yeah. Take it easy, everyone.
Peace.